Hey, what's going on, my masterminders? We got another episode on the books. Man, we got Cierra Say in the house. Sarah, welcome to the Mastermind Your Life show.
Thank you for having me. I'm sorry, I see something on my shirt. It's freaking. Oh, it's a bleach stain. Never mind. Thank you for
Oh,
having me. Thank you for
nah.
having me. I
Um,
appreciate the invite.
First of all, I'm super excited for this because I had to work to get you on the show. So that just makes me appreciate you more, appreciate the time we about to spend. But I'm fascinating because in today's world, everything is digital marketing, things are moving fast. You got to be able to snag somebody's attention just like that.
Hmm.
I run a digital marketing agency and I know the power of words and I know your copy has to be on point. So I'm super excited that you specialize in this area and you specialize in copy.
Definitely. Yeah. It. It's so crazy. The longer I do this, the more I realize like how impactful it actually is. Like, don't get me wrong. I knew how important it was when I started, but the longer I do it, the more results I see my clients have. It's just like, okay, this thing is really what it appears to be.
Yeah, and you were even talking about a client. I think you said her name was Nicole Ambrose, and she made like $100,000 like in a weekend, based off of you helping her with her lead gen video, and
Yeah, so Nicole Ambrose was a client in a program that I'm actually the copy coach in. And yeah, we what exactly did we yeah, so with Nicole, she was she coaches real estate agents to grow their real estate business. So, I helped her refine and create her Facebook ad video, Facebook ad script, and her initial what we call a lead magnet video. And yeah, she went crazy. I mean, now don't get me wrong, there's other elements that go along with having that type of success that fast. Like, number one, Nicole is a great closer, so she knows how to close people over the phone. Like, the copy attracts them, but you still got to close them. So
yeah, real
yeah,
estate people got that energy. Pop, you talk to them, and that's it. You
yeah,
in.
definitely.
But let's rewind. Let's have like this God given gift, this ability. Can you talk about like some of your upcoming, like what shaped you to be the way you are? Kind of like I read some of Detroit. Tell us about that. Growing up in
Yeah.
Detroit and some of the early days.
Born and raised in Detroit. I'm still here. Everybody thinks I live in Atlanta. I don't. I'm just in Atlanta all the time. Literally, I literally travel to Atlanta like 6 to 8 times a year. But born in Detroit, raised, like I said, I'm still here. So, Detroit is a very blue collar city, right? You learn the value of hard work early and work ethic early. For me, my first job, I was 12. I was a caddy, and that was my first exposure to like real life rich people.
Wow.
Um, and that was when I knew that I didn't want to be regular.
Mm.
I knew that at that moment, and I remember as a kid just like trying to figure out like how can I what can I do to put myself in a position to one day join this place that I was working in. So naturally you start looking at the jobs, right? Doctor, lawyer, all that stuff. At the time, when I was in high school, I wanted to be a journalist. At least I thought I did. So writing has always been like my thing, literally. Now,
Wow.
writing is a gift of mine. I won my first writing contest when I was in second grade. Started my high school sports section for the newspaper. Won a journalism scholarship to go to Michigan State. When I got to Michigan State, I started writing for like Double XL, The Source. At that time. I thought I wanted to be a hip hop journalist. So Double XL,
Mm.
The Source. There was a big magazine in the South. My guy Randy was the editor. And Beverly, what is the name of that magazine? I can't think of it, but all of the huge magazines I had bylines for. And then I took advertising up as a minor, and I ran across this term called copywriter, and I'm like, huh.
What's
And they
that?
were talking about, back then digital marketing wasn't as big. I was in college 2005 to 2010, so they were talking about the magazines, like the headlines in the magazines, the billboards, when you're getting mailers, like, and that was the impact. And I'm like, that's pretty interesting. So as digital marketing started to evolve around 2009, That's when I dropped out, 2009. But 2010 is when I started studying digital marketing. And then I saw, this term copywriting again. And I'm like, oh, there it is again.
Mm.
So I'm like, I think I could do this. So I dibbled and dabbled for years, practicing, never really took it serious. And then around 2000 okay, so it's 2021 now. My timeline is, I need to write this out. So
Yeah.
it had to be around 2015, no, 2014.
Mhm.
2014, 2015 is when I like got my first real shot at writing like real professional copy for someone.
Was it the E Moms, the book project?
No, no. So not now I know my timeline is off. So the first time I started writing for someone was like 2013 then. And this was a free thing, like just writing emails for somebody. This was
Mm.
a local business in Detroit. And then that opportunity came. I worked with E's mom on her book in 2018 because
Oh
that's when I left
wow.
my job. I started writing and working with E in 2015 because I worked with him for 5 years. Last year was the last year I worked. Yeah, so 2015 is when I started working with him. So, yeah, I mean that's the amended version. It's definitely been a journey. I've been blessed on this journey to work with literally the top people in their respective industries. When I first started, I was, writing any and everything for any and everybody. And over the last 2 years is when I kind of like honed in, and it's like only coaches and consultants because, you know,
Hey, that's where the bag is at too.
yeah, well, I mean, so it's not just, to be honest, if for anybody who's watching this and you're a copywriter, the where the bag is in e-com right now. That's where the real bag is.
Yep.
Everybody has online stores and the email sequences, they run Facebook ads, but I chose coaching and consulting because I believe there's a bigger impact when a good coach and a good consultant can get in front of their right client and provide that transformation. Like I literally tell them they're the unknown superheroes of the world. Because if,
Mm.
if they get in front of their right client and they transform this client's life, now this client is transforming their family's lives and their clients' lives, and it's just like a never-ending cycle.
Cycle.
But the problem is most coaches and consultants only know how to coach and consult. They don't know how to market. They don't know how to put together the proper messaging. They just know that when they have a client to serve, they're going to serve them at the highest level. But all of these other pieces, they they have a hard time pulling it all together. They're great at what they do, but what I do is just not what they do.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you said that because you're right. E-commerce with Klaviyo, Mailchimp, and
Mm-hmm.
Shopify's email sequence. Even over the weekend, I just built a abandoned cart recovery sequence. For the accelerator program that we have, and it's something that it takes thought. You have
Mm-hmm.
to you building it out an active campaign or your Klaviyo, and did they click on this and not. But even when I think of something like abandonment cart recovery, I think of, oh my god, like this is the opportunity to like get them in or like convince them of the value that you have before that person forever is
Gone.
gone. So when you think of things like that, how do you craft a narrative, or how do you craft a message in order to, because it's all about attention nowadays, but to get them to maybe re-energize their attention on, okay, this culture, this product, or this person has this, and I really
Yeah.
should pay attention.
It's all about truly understanding what they want. That's really what even my clients that I coach on Wednesdays, I always ask them the question you should always be asking yourself is, what does my ideal client want? The answer will change, over time, but if you get in the habit of asking yourself that all of the time, it's easy for you to hit them on an emotional level because you're reminding them of what they want, unless it's not really what they wanted.
Mm,
So, but
simple.
that is a question that you have to constantly be asking yourself. What does my client want? What does my ideal client want? Especially if you're in a space where you're developing multiple products and services, like you have to constantly be aware of what it is that they actually want. And not only know what they want, but be able to articulate why you're the best person to help them achieve that. Also thinking about where are they now and where do they want to be? How are you going to help them go from point A to point B? And a lot of it is so funny. Tolu, when I first started, I used to always think, these are simple questions, but they're not. Not for
Right.
people who create things, because a lot of times, and I've been guilty of it, myself as a creator. A lot of times we create the stuff that we think someone needs instead of creating exactly what they want. Like that, like
Yep.
so that's just a question everybody should always be asking. I don't care what you're selling or what it is. You should always be asking, what do they want? What do they want? And get in the habit of being able to articulate why you're the best person to help them achieve that.
Wow. And when you say like that, it's so simple. It's like, what do they want? And like, focus in on it. New entrepreneurs, right? And I think that people that are starting to get into coaching, or they have a gift, they have a talent, there's something within them that they have to serve to the masses, to society, to the generation. Who and how do you think they should best clarify their messaging? Because it always feels as if not all the time, but the longer you are in the game,
Mm-hmm.
the more precise you get with your messaging and your ability to be like, this is my niche right here.
Yep. And so the first thing to do is get in the game, right? Like start trying things, because we all start with what we want to do. And I'm using myself as an example. When I first started out as a copywriter, it's like I work with people who have beauty brands, e-com, obviously personal development coaches, consultants, like whatever you needed copy for, I was willing to do.
Wow.
And I was able to perform. But then as you start working with clients, there's a couple different things you need to ask yourself. Who do you actually like working with? Especially if you're in the coaching and consulting space, or you provide services. You have to start, understanding, okay, who do I actually like working with? Can these people pay me what I want to be paid? Because just because you can provide the service, that doesn't mean that they can pay you like the rates you want to pay. We all know when you start off new entrepreneurship, you're willing to negotiate because you're just so hungry for a client, right?
That's right.
So learning who you want to work with, do you like them? Can they pay you? And then can you actually help them?
Yeah.
So as you just go through your process, you really need to pay attention to how you feel while working on certain projects. What projects are are your profit margins, like, what I'm saying, like higher? What are some other things I should pay attention? How long it's taking you to complete certain projects? Like I went from working with any and everybody who was willing to pay me, writing bios. Like I was writing you need something written, I could do it. I would do it. So I went from that to niching down to just copy. So now that we're going down to just copy, sales pages, emails, Facebook ads, landing pages, websites, captions. That's what I niched it down to. So then I niched it down from those 6 things with copy to, okay, now I'm only providing copy to just coaches and consultants. So then I did that. And this is recent, but it may or it may not expand back out. Recently, over the last 6 to 12 months, I went back to kind of what got me in the position that I am today. And now I'm only focusing on helping people create emails that increase their revenue and get them more clients without them doing more work. So it evolves. Like I always think of it like one of those stretchy bands. Like you kind of do like this because it's business, right? It's ebbs and flows. You got to pay attention to what's going on. But once you feel yourself in a groove where it's like, I'm making what I want to make, I'm working with the people I want to work with, I'm not stressed out, stay in that groove. Don't try to, a lot of times we're like, oh, well, I can do this and I can do that. I'm telling you, stay in that groove. I make more money writing just emails than I ever made writing all that other stuff. So when people say the niches and the riches are in the niches, that's not, I used to hate when people told me that, like, why wouldn't I go get this money over here? No,
right.
The riches are really in the niches, because now you become like a specialist. You never want to be a generalist. Never. Once you become a specialist and you're known for this, that's when you can for real charge top dollar. I mean, you can
Exactly.
charge top dollar, but you know what I mean? Like that's when you, like for example, if your digital marketing company became known for helping e-com brands 10x their revenue and you only work with e-commerce as a digital marketing company, like that's Tolu. I know somebody who need e-com marketing, go to Tolu.
Definitely, definitely. It's interesting that you said that. Just talking to a client earlier and was setting up a webinar for him, and the same thing I was telling him was like, if you're trying to do 8 to 9, because I feel like right now in America, especially, there's so many business ideas, so many business models flying around us, and you can, hey, Turo, hey, Airbnb, hey, digital
Right.
marketing, hey, e-commerce, Shopify, and for you to be like, you know what, I want to specialize in this specific niche within this specific market. Because if you're the jack of all trades, you're the master of none. You
None.
know 15 different things to do XYZ. But when it comes down to, let's say, Airbnb, how specialized, how deep can you go into it? Because the deeper you can go into it, the more valuable your knowledge becomes, because you can help not just yourself build up that portfolio, but you can help others cut through a lot of the,
The flow.
the ebbs and flows and the wait time and the periods. And people can kind of sense that about people, especially nowadays. When you look at somebody's Instagram, you look at their social media, and you can see just how concentrated they are in certain areas. And then from there, that will give you the confidence to even want to do business, with that coach, with that entrepreneur. But if you're doing, jungle jacks, and
Right.
every other week you got something new going on, you're like, nah, I ain't about that.
It's crazy because there's very few people that works well for. And I'm off the top of my head, I know a few, and I'm always in. But I think why it works for them is because they're known as like serial entrepreneurs. But not only that, they get in the game on a lot of these trends super early. For example, I don't know if you have you heard of Maddie J.
Yeah, Maddie
Like
J.
Maddie J was teaching Turo before people really knew what Turo really was.
Yep.
Maddie J was teaching Turo like last year. Now it's like you see it everywhere. But Maddie J is also one of those entrepreneurs where it's like he gets in on everything early. But I consider Maddie J to be more of a teacher than an entrepreneur over. So you know what I'm saying? So he's
Mm-hmm.
still doing what he does. Not only that, he doesn't teach anything that he doesn't actually try and prove
Yep.
first, which is what I respect about him. Um,
It's a
you
lot
know,
of scamming going on.
yeah, definitely. David Shands is another, serial entrepreneur where over the years he's built brands, he's built things, and then he teaches you how to go and build the same thing. But if I would say that they're known that they're a master, so Dave is a master at, in my opinion, uh probably teaching, just like Matty J.
Yeah,
He's
communication.
like just
They're
like Matty
really
J.
good at communicating.
Content. I would put Dave in that, but Matty J I think is a master at just teaching. But he teaches based on knowledge he's applied. He doesn't teach based on theory, and that's where the lines kind of get crossed in this whole internet marketing thing. You got a lot of people teaching on theory, and not a lot of people teaching
Teaching
based
on
on
experience. Woo!
yeah what they've actually done.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's what's making people nowadays very, very skeptical. Oh, you got
Yeah,
another coach, you got a program, you got, people
yeah,
just, like, oh, you just trying. It's interesting because if you see people running ads nowadays, the response, the comments are people telling you like, yo, you chose the wrong interest, bro. Like the people nowadays, they're so caught up to ads and marketing and the little bit of like the understanding behind it, that you got to be, your brand, I feel like, has to be history, substance. It has to, it has to be something, the essence, the
yeah,
spirit of it. It can't, like, people coming up with drop shipping stores, bam, overnight, trying to sell some hot trending product,
yeah.
trying to snag them. And it's like, yeah, you could, but it's not really it's going to burn out quick.
You know what it remind. You know what right now reminds me of is when hip hop got to a point where nobody wanted to be a fan anymore. Everybody wanted to be a critic. So
Mm,
it's like the people who had the longevity, and if you pay attention, it's like the people who had the longevity were just building and partnering up with more people to become even bigger. And a lot of the smaller people who were sweet, but they kind of got drowned out because now everybody's a critic. Nobody just wants to be a fan. That's kind of what's happening in entrepreneurship. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur. Nobody wants to be. And I mean, I guess I get it, but I have friends, I tell people all the time, this, and I don't know if you allow cussing on your podcast, but
Go ahead.
no, this shit ain't for the weak. It is not. One thing that I respect about my two favorite mentors and coaches is that when I went to, get help from them, they like, it's not easy, but it's possible. And I think what's going on a lot now is everybody making it seem like it's easy. It's not easy to get people to buy something, even if they know they need it. It's too many options. So you got to be in it for the long game. I'm not saying you can't have success fast, because I was blessed to build a 6-figure copywriting business in 2 years. I know people who've been writing copy longer than me who still trying to get out of their job. Like they haven't been able to. But yeah, I just hate when people try to act like it's not easy. It is not. But it's worth it.
It's worth it. And I think when you look at the spirit of America, you look at the essence of America's entrepreneurship for real. Everybody wants to get the bag. People want to flex. They want to show you how good they live, and they want to, it's what you doing with your time, what you doing with your opportunity. Because we see all these like mega stars, the top entrepreneurs from Neil Davis, so like the Alex Good Energy, or even outside of our community, like the Grant Cardones, you seen these like, I feel like entrepreneurs are becoming the new superstars, the new rappers. Like
definitely,
we just saw this conference with him 5 Recession Proof. Rick Ross came out, and it's like you're seeing that because there's so much information coming out. I feel like nowadays, if you don't make it, if you don't have something going on, it's like, I don't know, something might not be firing,
Definitely. But I think what a lot of people get caught up in is they think consuming the information is the work, and it's not. I learned very early in my entrepreneurial journey, applied information is like, you have to apply the information, because that's the only way to determine how you need to optimize it for your particular business or your particular journey. Reading books, listening to podcasts, watching you can do that till you blue in the face. It's not, that's not the work. The work is building the funnels. The work is, what I'm saying, launching the sequence. That's the work.
Yeah. And A/B testing those sequences, seeing the click-through rate, all of that, and then being like, how do you adjust that so you can increase that conversion rate? And that's work, and that's why I'm excited to talk to you, because
the data,
the data is key. When we talk about digital marketing, everywhere you go, everybody's a digital marketer. When you talk about funnels, everywhere you go, somebody's a click funnel strategist, expert, consultant. But when you talk about copywriting, I don't see like maybe like once or two. Like
it's still far. It's still not a. I mean, I think I know 3 off the top of my head. But yeah, it's still an area of expertise that a lot of people, I don't know why what they're afraid of, but it's not easy either. You really, outside of so to me, I don't think the most important skill set of a copywriter is being able to write. I think the most important skill set is understanding psychology and marketing. And then when it comes to working with particular clients, you have to understand your client's voice. Like for me, all of my clients are what people perceive as personal brands, right? Like Wall Street Trapper, his brand is himself. Marquell, his brand is himself. Even when I was working with E and David, like they are the foundation of their brand. As a copywriter, you have to be able to grab their voice and make sure that everything you're creating sounds like it comes directly from their mouth.
Yeah.
And I think for a lot of copywriters, that's difficult. and that's why they would rather work with like, the beauty brand or or the companies. I don't find a lot of copywriters who are focusing and specializing in the areas that I'm specializing in. I don't.
Nah, and I think when you look at even now when I'm on Instagram, I see ads from uh email agencies. I've started like I didn't see that a year or like 6, 7, 8, 9 months ago, but now I'm starting to see more ads from agencies saying that, hey, did you know you're missing out on 20 to 30% of the revenue your store could be making if you don't have uh quote unquote rich
Yeah,
sequence built out email wise. And when you think about it, I think people neglect those parts because it's so fascinating to just turn on Facebook ads and start seeing these sales coming in and these but then do you have a nurture sequence? Do you
right.
have an abandonment cart recovery sequence? Do you have a follow-up sequence? Do you have a somebody successfully purchased a product? Now you want to upsell them on maybe other products and things that you have down the line sequence. And it's interesting because I think even people kind of email weak. It's like weak. Oh, we got Instagram. I can see video, tick, tick,
Mhm.
tick. And then people think of email. It's like, come on, man.
The crazy thing is, total. It's still the number one marketing channel across with them all. Over text, over social media, over paid advertising. I just did a present in March. I did a presentation to a group of 6 and 7 figure entrepreneurs where I was explaining to them like this is still the number one marketing channel. The ROI is $43 for every dollar you spend. 79% of consumers say that they buy based on from emails. Like, but because I think it's because it's what I consider to be the OG of digital marketing. Like
Mm.
the email was first out of all the different marketing channels, and I think everybody likes what's new and what's shiny versus using what works. I got a client right now. She has 4,800 people on her email list. Our open rates are 50%.
Wow.
So it's not that it doesn't work. People just don't use it right. They
Mm.
try to buy these lists, or you know what I'm saying. They don't communicate often and effectively with the list. They only want to send something when they got a sale going on or when it's Black Friday, they don't set the proper expectation. So that's why most people have dismal open rates. They're not seeing anybody buy through. Like I have a client right. So we're getting his open rate up right now. He's still teetering between like 15 and 20%, but he's making like honestly between 3 and 5 grand per email, and we
Mm.
send emails 3 days a week.
Okay, and that was the question I was just about to ask because some people they advocate you got to send out an email every single day. Other
Mhm.
people is like you got to send it out once a week. Somebody's like once a month. Like from everything that you've seen and the different clients working with them, what is an optimal rate of sending out emails?
So this question I always answer two different ways, right? So with my personal clients, I say minimum 3 times a week.
Wow.
Because and when I say 3 times a week, I'm not saying you have to tell them to buy something in every single email. That's it, but it's value, right? If you're doing what you should be doing from a content perspective or whatever you have going on in your business, 3 emails a week should be easy. But one of my mentors who I respect and love dearly, his rule is you send the email for every day you want to make money.
So that's every
Well,
day.
yes, yeah, exactly. Ben Settles, which is someone I study a lot when it comes to the email game, every day. He sends email every single day.
Yeah, that's. I mean,
I, I get it. Trust me, I get the apprehension some people have, but I also know um, that it works.
yeah, it keeps them. I think because it keeps them close to you because email is that connection with somebody, but it's just over text. So like if I'm able to see that, I'm like, man, okay, this person, like you feel like you in a relationship with them
Mhm.
versus that person that sends an email like when they got a sale coming out, and I
Yeah,
think they call them like email whores or something like that. Like
yeah,
you don't never contact your email list, but as soon as you got something that you're trying to
drop.
sling,
Go.
then you're like, hey, yo, what's up? And they're like, come on, get out of here.
Right. No, definitely. So yeah, that's the biggest. But I say with everyone, minimum. I think the only time you shouldn't, if you want to say, well, is there a time when I shouldn't send the emails? Like if you're going through a really big shift in your business to where you're about to just completely change directions, once you figure out what that new direction is, then get back on whatever cycle you had yourself on. But when you send that first email out, like reintroduce yourself, what you got going on, give people who may no longer be interested the opportunity to leave, and then figure out what is your cadence moving forward. Because there's been plenty of times in my own business where it's like, okay, I'm not going to be doing this anymore. Let me get this set up, and then let me announce it to my email list. Whoever stays, stay. And there's a lot of people on my email list though who I know for sure they just dare to kind of steal the emails.
Click.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this right here. Okay. Copy, paste.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh man. Okay. What are like the best type of clients that you prefer, that you genuinely enjoy working with, and like what kind of characteristics do those clients have?
So right now, my favorite clients are 6 and 7 figure business owners for two reasons. Not because they can afford to pay me, but number one, these type of business,
that payment comes in on time. You 6 figures, 7 figures, you don't gotta worry about chasing nobody down.
To be honest, what I love about working with 6 and 7 figure coaches and consultants is that they're worried about what they need, what they should be doing. I don't like to be micromanaged. And like before I decided I'm gonna work with somebody, like I literally tell them, you let me do what I do, you do what you do, you get a video update from me every Friday, we meet once a month. There's really nothing else to talk about. Like, you know what I'm saying? So that's one of the characteristics. I don't like clients who like over my shoulder, over my back.
Yo, you send out the email. Can you tweak that one line right there?
Yeah,
I didn't feel like the brand. That was kind of not me. That was kind of last year. You know what? I saw the CTR rate. Can we do?
The crazy thing is, Tolo, by the grace of God, I don't know the last time I had a client who was like, yeah, you think? I do not know. I don't know. The second characteristic is I truly only like working with coaches and consultants who I believe in what they're doing. For quite a few of my clients, I was actually like, they were my coach first. So he was my coach before I had the opportunity to work alongside him for 5 years. Dave was my coach before I had the opportunity to work along with him. Marquell coached me before I had the opportunity to work with him. And then Wall Street Trapper, huge fan of what he's doing. I don't invest in stock yet, but I believe in his movement and what he's doing. I don't know if you ever heard of Dr. Bobby Price. He's a holistic doctor. He has a book called Vegetation and Medication. I use his products. Like he has his own natural detoxes and multivitamins, but I used his products before he actually became a client of mine. So I have to believe in what you're doing. And if I haven't used that product or service yet, please believe I'm going to. So those are two. Did you say three? 2 or 3?
No, I just said list the characteristics. It could be 2, it could be 4, it could be 3.
And the last characteristic, like you have to have a long-term vision. None of my clients are like, I'm just trying to, make a couple dollars and get out. Like they're like right now, and I don't even know if I should be saying this, but I'm gonna say it right now. What Wall Street Trapper is planning, he's planning something for June that is going to take him, it's more than stocks. On the surface, it looks like, oh, this guy's just teaching stocks. No, he got a whole, plan. Same thing, with Marquell. Marquell thing is we about to help create more Black millionaires than ever. So it's not just, oh, let me teach you Facebook ads. No, it's like, let me help you build a business. Because that's another thing a lot of people are not talking about. They teach you how to sell these ebooks and these courses. Ain't nobody teaching you how to build a business.
That's right.
If you're not working 24/7. So yeah.
That's and the second question, and to that point, you're so right. Building a business it's
different from being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because
I don't even like calling myself an entrepreneur anymore. I've slowly but surely start saying I'm a business owner. Because you're an entrepreneur, you ain't nothing but a low key employee. I mean, it's like you own a business, but so CEO is a real term that I think a lot of us try to shy away from. But the truth is, as a business owner, as a CEO, as an entrepreneur, if you're building a real business, it's really only a couple things you should be doing. A lot, especially in the Black community, we don't like to delegate because we don't trust people. We don't want to get nobody our passwords. We don't want to.
Yeah. Why you
you
need
know,
that? Why you need
yeah.
that?
It's definitely a shift that's required, but it's one that I'm making slowly but
Yeah,
surely.
because if you're able to say, all right, I'm going to Cancun tomorrow and I'm going to be gone for a week, can that business
Run
still
on.
operate and maybe just have like a Zoom call with the person you've delegated it
Uh-huh.
to, or quick phone calls? But if you go and everything start falling apart and fires is erupting everywhere, then you definitely an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And that's and don't get me wrong, that's everybody's reality at the beginning. But once you realize that, you have to sit down and say, okay, what do I need to put in place? One of the first things Marquel told me was the first thing you should get is an executive assistant. Like that should be your first hire, because there's a lot of small things that you shouldn't be checking your email. You shouldn't be sending emails to clients. Like it's a lot of those little things that eat up your time, and they don't allow you to focus on what you should be focusing on to actually grow the business. Like I realized it's really only three things I should be doing every day: working on my client stuff, creating content, and looking at data. That's about it.
Yep.
That's about
And
it. All
that's
the
another.
small things, that's when all the, you know.
Yeah, and sometimes you can tell when you're about to do something. You're like, nah, this is not higher level thinking that's going to help the business progress forward. Strategically. Like this is not going. Like some things you can tell. Like okay, this thing that I'm about to work on, this is going to elevate the business, or this is going to put my business in a position to strategically win.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to make my business more valuable to society, or it's going to strengthen like, for example, me and my business partner, we got standard operating procedures. We got to go
SOP,
through
yeah.
every Monday. You're looking at certain key numbers that's looking at the whole business from a bird's eye point of view, to be able to look at the health. You got to look at the health of your business.
Yeah.
It's some stuff breaking down, and then you're going to find out about it when it explodes. Or can you see that, oh, okay, this is an area we need to touch up real quick so that, everything is running smoothly. I was going to ask about, a hook. I think, people are so like fascinating, like, oh, do you have your hook now? Like, can you tell me like what's the hook behind it? Could you tell us like what a hook is, and even factor in like maybe a little bit of like a unique selling point?
Yeah, so I always describe a hook as I'm trying to think of a simple. I always describe a hook as, a headline that tells the person exactly what they're going to get once they either keep scrolling or opt in. They need to know exactly what they're getting. There's a couple different ways you can put that together. Your the hook needs to speak to the transformation and not the process. That's where people, and I know you didn't ask me that question, but that's the biggest mistake I see in hooks, on all of these registration pages, sign up pages. People are talking about the process, they're not talking about the transformation. And that's where people that's where you go wrong.
What do you mean by that transformation?
So the transformation is what are you helping me with? What am I going to get after I read through this or sign up for this, or keep like where am I going? Versus a lot of people talk about how they do stuff versus what they actually do. Like I had a client earlier today. He's amazing at what he do. He built a new page, and the hook was like how to get rid of insecurities and limiting beliefs without ever going back to your mindset. So I said, what is it that these people actually want though? He works with successful entrepreneurs who are stuck and can't like get past, like they've reached a level of success, they want more success, but they can't get past it. He knows they can't get past it because deep down inside, they got limiting beliefs and insecurities. As anyone who's had any type of level of success, it takes a very aware person to admit that they're still insecure and have limited beliefs. So I'm like, people aren't opting in because you're turning them off with that. The people that you're attracting don't believe that this is their problem. You have to talk about what do they get after you help them fix this problem. Wow. So we changed it to how successful entrepreneurs are experiencing more freedom and more revenue in 90 days or less without, I forgot what the without is. But you see the difference? It's like this is the transformation. Now, how I do it, I'm gonna tell you that later. But now you're like, okay, I want more freedom, I want more revenue. I consider myself to be somewhat successful. Let me keep going and see what else he got. If I'm somewhat successful, I'm not, like I said, it takes a very aware person to admit, yes, I've made six figures. Yes, I've made millions, but I still have limiting beliefs and I need help. It's not too many people who gonna raise their hand and say that. So that's why people weren't opting in. So that's the difference between the transformation and the process. Because if I help you with your limiting beliefs, if I help you get rid of your insecurities, you make more money and you get more freedom because you're making more money.
Show them the end picture. Show them the vision. Like
in my copywriting process, I call it take them to the promised land. You have to be able to paint that picture. And that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, knowing exactly what they want. If you can answer that question, everything else, falls into place.
That's right. Wow, man. I feel like that's something like, unless people are like, that would take people years and years to figure out. And there's probably people that they will forever go on and not ever know that information.
Man, totally. I see so many. On Tuesdays, we do on Tuesdays, Marquel does free marketing reviews. And sometimes I pop in and I go to some of these people's websites and I'm like, who is telling y'all to build this shit? Like who is telling you that this is, and don't get me wrong, the sweet pictures and all that, but like it tells me nothing about what you do. Nothing. And then you have the people who too smart for their own good, and it's like they're, sometimes we call it a whiff them, sometimes we call it an I help statement, but it's like you see it and you have no idea what that means. Like I saw someone's page yesterday, they said, I help women CEOs sprinkle magic on their business. What the hell is that? What is it?
Oh man.
Like, people try to be so creative that it misses the mark totally. And then we were actually on Clubhouse on Tuesday.
Okay.
So we like, what is that? So then she's like, systematize and automate. And I'm like, stop right there. Because number one, any business, the people she wants to attract, and I'm one of these people, when I hear systems and automation, I'm gone.
Maybe can I kind of jump in and see if I could create a headline that would, okay, so instead of me saying that, I sprinkle magic into your business, I'll help you, are you looking for more freedom, time to spend with friends, family, go on vacation? Let me help you put together a proven system to get to that point.
There you go. You didn't say nothing about systems and automation. You spoke about what it is I actually want. So you know what I'm saying? And that's what people have a habit of doing. Everybody wants to talk about the process. Nobody care. I mean, don't get me wrong. People care about the process, but if you pull me in on what I want, even if I was at one point apprehensive about your process, once you introduce it, I'm now sold on you actually helping me get what I want. So even though I may hate systems and automation, it's like, okay, let me, go through this pain a little bit to get to where I want. But if you try to get me on systems and automation, I'm gone. I'm not a high C on the, I used to be, I'm not anymore. I understand the importance of it, but I still haven't heard anything, enough to where it's like, okay, I want that. I need that. Let me go ahead and, no, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet.
And I think, I almost feel like what you're specializing in is what people first need to study, understand, even before they start, building out all these teams and processes and getting on clients. Because if from the beginning you can be fine tuned as to what your messaging is and the angle, that, because I feel like there's so much going on nowadays that if you have a really great angle, it's going to help you out in the long run in life. But the key, could you break down, as as we start wrapping up, and I'm excited about all this obviously, but working with Cierra and kind of like your SPB program, or like when somebody signs up to work with you as a client,
Mm-hmm.
like how do you take them to the promised land? Like what are some of the steps that you implement?
Um, so ironically, right now I'm not taking any work clients. Uh, that's crazy for me to even say that. But typically, what happens is I get a clear understanding on like what are the goals, what are you like, what are first of all, what do we have? Because in order to work with me, you gotta your product has to be at a certain price point, right? So you can truly get an ROI. Like I'm not trying to be funny, but I don't typically work with clients who do like the free, then the $7, then the $97, then the $297. I typically don't work with people who do that because that's too much going on. Um, but how I take them to the promise is number one, getting a clear understanding on the transformation they provide, right? If I can't create something to get people to make a move unless I understand what your offering will do for them. And the crazy thing is this, Tolu. A lot of times the client don't even know how to articulate it. I have to kind
Mm,
of like, there's a series of questions that I ask, like 50, and then we do like a interview where I'm still just digging deep to get a clear understanding of who was this for. We create the perfect one person, not the perfect target market, not the perfect group. We create the perfect one person for their product, service, or program, and everything flows from that. Now, do and every time I say that, people are like, well, just one person, not an entire market. No, one person. We need to know who is this exactly for. That's another part of my signature method that I teach. But I mean, yeah, and that's pretty much it. I don't force clients. Like I don't. A lot of people always ask me, do I do a lock in terms of how many months I require? I used to, and then I stopped because the people that I was locking in after a month, I didn't want to work with them no more anyway.
wow.
So month to month. Um, if you want to cancel 30, like I don't beg anybody to work with me. Am I perfect? No. I'm a business owner. I make mistakes. But one thing, and you can ask any client I've ever worked with that I'm not afraid to do is admit my mistakes. Like I will flat out tell them, like, you know what? That email was scheduled for the wrong day and time. But
Mm,
here's how we're gonna fix it. You know what I'm saying? I don't just be like, oh, I don't know what happened. No, I don't do that.
yeah.
But things happen. All situations, this stuff just happens. You know how business is. It's
Yeah.
like the client that you think is going to be the perfect client, you end up like not even liking that person by the by the end of
Yeah.
the
Eh,
agreement.
eh,
And then the client that you're kind of like iffy on, you may
They
end up
turn out to be
actually
the best.
cool with. So yeah.
And I think it's so interesting because you're literally working with the voice of you're working with their projection into, like how it's almost like PR, like how the world perceives you. Because in essence, you're almost like a cheerleader for them, like because I don't want a sad email to come up. I want an email to come across optimistic, like energized, catch my attention. And I feel like when you do month to month, clients respect that because they're like, oh, if I don't get results, then I'm not tied into anything. And I feel like it does put pressure on the entrepreneur because at the end of the day, you're saying to yourself, like, I want to do a good job with them during this month so that, they renew, that invoice moving forward. And I know if I'm a person, I'm hearing like when I tell our clients, like, okay, this is a month to month, contract, it gives them a little bit more confidence because it's like, oh, okay. At
Yeah.
least the ones that understand business enough to be like, oh, okay, so you got to eat what you kill, and you got to, bring them the meat, and, bring them results, and if they eating good with what you're doing, I'm staying here.
Yeah.
How do you handle, because one thing you said, interestingly enough, you were like, oh, I'll admit, hey, look, I sent out that email on the wrong day. So there's probably those clients that you have where it's like you send out that email on the wrong day because they're so big or something like that. That's a massive whiplash. Like it's going to do some damage, like not in a good way. How do you create systems or processes around making sure that, you know, when emails are supposed to be sent out is sent out, or even some of like the higher level clients, making sure that, you know, things are really squared away?
I'll be honest and say it's not easy because you have to delegate it to somebody else. Otherwise, you're just gonna drive yourself crazy, right? So, and then it really depends on the client. So, a client like Wall Street Trapper, it's tough to delegate because with what he does, things change on a day-to-day basis.
Mm.
So, what I may have had in mind for an email, last week, because typically I try to create his stuff a week in advance, it may not be it's actually not relevant today. Like actually the email I was supposed to go out today, it hasn't went out yet because last night he did it live and it's like the direction needs to be changed.
Wow.
I think the biggest thing is keeping the lines of communication open. But for some clients where their content or what they're doing isn't a huge variation, the best thing you can do, well, what I do is create a head and schedule out. And then
Mm.
I tell clients when I onboard them that, typically things are created a week in advance. If there needs to be a change, if you plan on, doing something, I need 48 hours. Because I used to just say, just text me. I stopped that. I stopped that because, now you be getting texts all time of night. Yeah,
Yeah.
I stopped that.
11 a.m. I mean, it'd be like 2 a.m.
Yeah,
Hey, you still awake?
right. So it's a combination of like planning ahead and just getting the schedule. Like I said, things now I will say I've never sent an email on the wrong day. But there has been instances where, for example, if something was scheduled to go, it was something supposed to go out today, but instead it was well, that's sending it on the wrong day. But with those emails, it's not like, oh, I got a webinar tonight and they didn't get the link. Not nothing
Ooh,
like that. Not nothing like that.
gotcha.
That's different. Not nothing
Yeah.
like that. It's just more so instead of a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule this week, we're gonna do Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And that's another thing I like about my clients. They literally let me do my thing. Like I do a lot of testing because you got to get a feel for the audience.
Mm.
Like Trap's audience, a lot of them work 9 to 5. So lately, what I've been testing is sending after 5 o'clock versus the morning. So
Mm.
you know what I'm saying? It's like but keeping the lines of communication open, I think, is important. And then like just being honest with the client. Like I'm listen, I'm not perfect. I've lost clients. I fire clients, and clients have told me like, you know what, I think that's cool. That's just the reality of business.
Yep. Keep it
Like
pushing.
People leave Apple to go to Android. It is what it is. But you can't let that like stop you or determine how good you actually are. Like people are people. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
We're humans. Things are going to go wrong sometimes. It's how you handle it that really matters. And even the clients I lost, they can never say I didn't put no money in their pocket.
Mm.
That's one thing they
Mm.
can never say. If even the clients that I've parted ways with, and
You
now
did right by them. You did right by them.
they for sure. And the crazy thing is, I've been paying attention to some of them. They ain't sent the email since. They sent the email since, but it's life.
It is
And
what it is. And some people have to go away to realize the importance of all that and come. We had clients leave, and then when they out there in the wilderness and things that happen, and then they don't have that energy and that system and that structure that you had
yeah,
set
then
up
they
for
coming
them,
back.
then they come. Hey, you
Yeah.
still available? And what email? Real quick, do you recommend people use Active Campaign, ConvertKit, Aweber, Get Response? Like,
So I used to love ConvertKit, but now I'm an active campaign junkie.
let's go.
Only because active campaign, the reports are just more robust.
Active Campaign become they.
Yeah,
What's
they
up?
they
What's
kill it.
happening?
ConvertKit is trying, but they still got a long way to. I will say for ease of use, ConvertKit is very easy to use.
It's
But
pretty. It looks delicious.
right.
It's
But when it
like
comes to data optimizing, like really is Active Campaign killing the game.
what?
Killing
Active
it.
Campaign be sitting in the room like I was waiting on you.
Yeah, they do. They
What's
literally do.
up? What's
I
up?
remember
What's
when I
happening?
switched because I was using ConvertKit for a while, and I remember when I switched, and I'm like, okay, I get it. But that it took me a minute. Once again, this is the growing as a business owner, understanding how important data is. And I'm like, oh, I can see way more over here than I saw over there. Like Active Campaign tells you the best, like when people are actually opening, like what that trend is on certain days. You can't get that in ConvertKit. Crazy thing is, all my clients use ConvertKit except one.
Because their marketing looks so good. They got the it look playful, colorful. Oh, you a creator? Da, da, da. They know how to like hypnotize you into their world and everything. But Active Campaign, when you look at it, it looks like real militaristic. It's like
Active Campaign is you're running a business. You're not just out here willy nilly. So yeah, and I love, but I do love Klaviyo as well. I was not a fan of Klaviyo at the beginning, but if you have Shopify and
better plug that bad boy in.
Yeah, that and seeing those numbers on the side is
everything. Clients be happy when they say, "Oh, the little circle, with the how much revenue was created and everything." Like
and the dashboard that tells you which email. Yeah, that
they be like, "Cierra, we working with you forever."
Right.
Numbers like this, we ain't going nowhere. Nah, definitely. Is there anything that you want to say to future, copywriters or to business owners or anybody that's even looking to maybe work with you or maybe join the program or coaching call or anything?
I mean, so I did say that I'm kind of like shifting gears again, right? I would say just send me the easiest thing right now is to just send me a DM. Whether you're looking to become a copywriter or looking to join, if you're a coach or consultant looking to, attract your ideal client, make more money, all of that stuff without working 24/7, just send me a DM. Yeah, that's the easiest way right now.
Awesome. So my mastermind is, look, if you're looking for, I feel like this conversation that we just had with Cierra, like you need when you're thinking about going into business, when you're thinking about building a brand, like she's the type of person you need to come to first and like just sit down, shut up and listen and like absorb this information, ask your questions, because a lot of people out here spending years of doing the wrong thing, no messaging, no, it just look like you winging it. And super appreciative because not only are you focusing on like coaches and consultants that impact other people's lives, but the fact that I think I saw maybe CAU with Markel, you were giving like you were speaking in front of entrepreneurs. So to see all of that is I think that's super exciting because not only do people get to see a strong Black woman, develop her own business, but teach other people, a lot of these foundational and like core elements of, especially nowadays in the digital world, you need messaging, you need branding, you need to be able to have a certain angle, when you're talking to people. So Cierra, thank you for everything.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, anytime you need me to do, just reach out. We locked in now, but I appreciate the opportunity to.
Yo, I had to fight to get her on the podcast, man. I was hunting her down, man. I was like, she ain't going nowhere. I'm gonna get her.
I appreciate it though. So yeah, whatever you need, I'm here.
I appreciate that, Queen. All right, until next time, my masterminders, we are out. Tap in with Cierra. Get that knowledge, get that information ASAP. Just go follow her on Instagram. I'm gonna include all the links to her sites, her Instagram. Go get that now.
I'm gonna be putting out more content soon. Just in that.